that's what I want to do. I want to see what's possible.
Hello, my name is Neely. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you guys are new, welcome. If you are back, I appreciate you coming back. Today we're going to talk about why it is important to have a plan and what that kind of means. So I'm going to start with a story from high school, and I used to get made fun of because I was so structured and organized, and I remember so clearly being at summer camp one year with a bunch of other cross-country people, and we were coming up with like a plan as to kind of how we were going to structure our week of training at cross-country camp. And everyone else was kind of goofing off, and I was taking it very, very seriously. And I was writing every little detail down. And at the end of it, I was like, hey, what did you guys come up with? And they're like, oh, run, like, we'll just see kind of what happens. And I was like, are you kidding? You have to have a plan. And I got made fun of the whole week because they were just like, oh, there's Neely, you have to have a plan. And so now I'm gonna say it again because it's true, and it's something that I found to be so important for me and something that I think you can benefit from also. And here's why. So the first thing is it can prevent burnout. And how I think that having a plan can help prevent burnout that I've seen personally and I've seen with clients that I've coached is you have a start and you have an end, and you have a season of training. And so you know when it's gonna stop, and you know the amount of time that you need to focus, you know how that focus is going to increase, and that ultimately means that you're working towards a goal of some kind. So whether that is a race or a time trial, or to hit a certain amount of mileage, or to target some sort of specific workout that you've been gearing up for, whatever it might be, there's a structure to it, and there's a start and there's an end. And typically when I would start a training block, I would be coming off of a rest period, maybe a week or two of rest. I would start my training block, and maybe it's 2 months, maybe it's 4 months, maybe it's 6 months, whatever is right for you based off of what your goals are and how you've responded in the past. I would build out that plan, progressively increasing that fitness as I would go, and then I would plan that end date where I then would take another rest, another week or two off. And so that kind of helps to prevent the burnout and mentally refresh before you would start up another training cycle. The second reason why I think it's helpful to have a plan is that it will reduce the risk of injury. And I believe that having structure, systematic training, going through phases of training, progressing, not rushing things, not forcing it, kind of focusing on building up the strength and the fitness, and not doing that too quickly, but also not staying in one phase for too long so that you kind of stagnate. So it's really important to make sure that you set up a series of phases throughout a training block, targeting a base phase where you're just building up your mileage, building up your strength, and then transitioning that as you go. And having that, I think, and I believe, helps prevent injuries from occurring, because you're not going from not running at all to doing hard workouts, in a week's worth of time. You have it structured, you have it set up so that you know how your body is going to handle what's coming by what you're doing today. And so every workout, every run is just kind of building on the one before it. The third reason is that having a plan can increase motivation. Why? Because you have structure, you have routine, and you reduce your decision fatigue, right? So if you're just kind of making it up as you go along and you're heading out and you're like, what should I do today? Oh my gosh, that's so stressful. How do I figure this out? Or you're doing the same thing and you're just stuck in this like spinning the wheel type of training. And so if you have a plan, you're going to have more motivation, because if you run today, you're going to feel better tomorrow, and you're going to feel better the next day and week and month and year, as you go along, because distance running is so much about consistency and consistently putting in training blocks, resting, letting that work soak in, putting in a training block, letting it soak in. And so I believe that having a plan can help you with those three things: preventing burnout, reducing the risk of injury, and increasing your motivation. So how do you get a plan? There's a lot of ways. First off, maybe you have done a plan in the past that's worked really well. You're like, maybe I want to do that one again. I really liked it and I'm familiar with it. I know how to implement it, and that works really well. The second way, hire a coach. If you've never done that before, I work with a whole host of athletes, all chasing different goals. I'd be happy to talk to you. There's a ton of great online coaches out there that it's really important to research and kind of figure out what's the right personality for you, what's the right training method for you, what are you looking for to get out of working with a coach and having a coach come up with a training plan for you specifically. You can self-coach. You can read a book, maybe you have enough experience, you can put together something for yourself, but just writing it out and kind of planning ahead will help you with those three things. Like I mentioned, there's lots of coaching books out there that you can find, but there's also online training plans that you can just kind of Google and look up. So it really depends on where you're at, what you're wanting out of your plan, and then how you want to go about finding a plan that can help you specifically with your individual goals. I personally, I'm a coach, but I don't like to write my own plan because that feels like I'm too close. I'm too zoned in, that I can't objectively see my own training. And so my husband writes my training and then I review it, and then we can kind of talk about it, and I still have an input, I still have a say in what we're doing or how I'm feeling on that day, but it's not locked in. So figuring that out can be really helpful. It's taken me a long time to figure out what is the system that works best for me. And everyone's going to be different. There's clubs, there's teams you can join, there's running groups, and sometimes people need a friend or lots of friends to meet up with, or a group that is doing the same type of training, so then you can work with other people in your workouts that are at your level, and some people find that to be really beneficial. So it's so important to figure out who you are as a runner and what you respond to as you're building out your plan. So I hope that this was helpful, and I hope that you too can understand and agree that having a plan can really help. And again, it's it could be a 2-month plan, a 3-month plan, a 4-month plan, whatever makes sense for you with what your end goal is. I think it's super helpful to have that routine and that structure and that systematic progression of fitness and training so that you can reach your goals. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you liked this one, please subscribe to my channel, leave me a comment. I'd love to hear your feedback as well. And if there's anything else that you guys want me to talk about, that would be awesome, because I'm all ears. I want to give you content that is beneficial and helpful and helps you guys do your best in the sport that we all love. So cheers, I'll see you next week, and let's get running.